Hi guys, Azure Ace here, and welcome to the finale, welcome to the end, where in this video I will be discussing the end of such an amazing arc to such an amazing game series and anime series and manga series and light novel series, just so many mediums it's covered. This is Danganronpa 3, the end of Kibo Gamine Gakuen Kibo Hen, or the end of Hope's Peak Academy Hope Arc. This episode was seriously the biggest mixed bag of emotions I think I've ever experienced from watching any sort of anime. One half of me is so happy for the events that unfolded in this episode, yet another half is really like, why didn't they answer this? Why didn't they show clarity on that? And just so many loose ends in this episode that have not been tied, that should have been tied by now, and some story elements that have been outright retconned. But nevertheless, it's time to get into the finale of the Hope's Peak Academy arc. The episode begins with the epic, almost battle-like theme starting to play as we see choppers closing in on the building, and we see the huge armada of battleships that were going to Jabberwock Island starting to close in on the Future Foundation building. We then see this really kinda awesome scene of multiple almost admins of the Future Foundation, known as the former Super High School level Elite Task Force, which I thought at first might have hopefully have been Gaiden Killer Killer characters, which if you don't know, Gaiden Killer Killer is a Danganronpa manga that's still going on right now. It's not finished quite yet, but it's not, which is kinda disappointing. I mean, if they showed these characters maybe on the last episode of Mirai Hen preparing to go to the Future Foundation building, and we maybe learned a little tiny bit about them, I'd maybe feel a bit better, but it just feels like a bit of an ass pull at this point. It begins to start raining, and we see the soldiers that are protecting the building protect Mirai, and some time has actually skipped as we now have 15 minutes remaining on the Hope countdown. We then switch to an amazing scene. We see the mass amount of knocked out bodies from the last episode actually leading into the meeting room, where we see none other than Hajime himself standing over Chisa's dead body. He says he finally found something important as it zooms in on the ultimate feels of Chiaki's pin that Izuru picked up all that time ago, as he reiterates what she said to him very early on in the Despair arc: it doesn't actually matter if you have a talent. And he says something utterly amazing that leads into the latter stages of this episode. He said that thanks to his powers, he was able to bring everyone back, as he opens his eyes, and yes, Hajime does indeed have heterochromia now. His right eye is red, representing the side of Izuru, and his left eye is green, representing the side of Hajime, which is just amazing. I started freaking out when I saw that. We switch to see Naegi run out into the rain and look up to the sky as we see two shots side by side of Hajime and Naegi, as we switch to the title screen, which spins around with the black and white to form the title that features both Hajime and Naegi. We switch to see Byakuya and Hagakure with Asahina, so they manage to link up with her, and we get to see Byakuya's men outside with guns, so they obviously took the soldiers out. Byakuya then says he sent half of his men to escort Naegi. As we switch to see him running with Byakuya's men, Ryota's soldiers then start firing at them, and they have them pinned down pretty damn hard. But then the camera pans up and we see the silhouette of a very, very familiar figure. He kicks a small stone, which hits a boulder, which hits an even bigger boulder, causing a domino effect, taking the guards out. There's only one man other than Hajime who has that sort of luck on his side. Naegi looks up from the cover, and that is right everyone, Nagito Komaeda is back! Oh my god! And instead of Junko's arm, he now has a robot arm. This is so amazing. Byakuya's men then say to Byakuya that a lot is happening to the enemy, and Byakuya says it's the 77th class and that Izuru or Hajime's talents are incredible. We switch to see Munakata fighting off men with his katanas, and out of nowhere enemies fly out of the way as the ultimate imposter barges past him, and he looks like Munakata with a katana. He has the Munakata skin over him. Munakata asks him what a Remnant of Despair is trying to do helping him, and the ultimate imposter replies saying atonement. We switch to see my girl Pekoyama fighting one of the elite task force members, and he's throwing like, I don't know, frisbees or something at her. He throws them at a water fountain which Peko bursts out of, slicing through him non-fatally, bear in mind, knocking him out. And the next member we see is none other than Fuyuhiko Kazuryu without his eye patch anymore, which looks pretty awesome. We then see one of my most favourite Super Danganronpa 2 characters, Gundam Tanaka, as he is fighting what looks like a bird keeper in the task force, as he says all this, his weird stuff. All the stuff he says, you guys know what that is, and lightning appears behind him as the eagle flies over to him, and even his hamsters manage to make it out alive. That makes me immensely happy. Next up is Nekomaru Nidai, who is fighting this huge mech as another one comes in from behind to attack him. And then we have Kazuichi Soda, who even has mini Mekomarus, just like Akane was given a mini Mekomaru in Super Danganronpa 2, which I thought was a very amazing thing to bring back. They all attack the robot and explode. We next have Sonia Nevermind, who compliments Kazuichi on his work. Next, it's one of my faves, Akane Owari, as well as Teru Hanamura, as Akane is running at one of the task force members while Teru is feeding her meat, and she even does something very similar to what Seiko does, as she literally eats the knives thrown at her by the task force member before uppercutting him with a damn piece of meat into oblivion. Next we get to see Hyoko Saionji as she's dodging a member who's swiping at her, she's screaming for help, and she just about to get hit. The member gets stabbed in the back by who other than the Danganronpa 2 waifu herself, Mikan Sumiki, with this giant syringe. Like, Jesus man, how did you get a hold of that? Even Hyoko thanks her, which is just huge development for her character. She's also her older self, which I thought was nice. I thought they would have maybe forgotten about that and make her younger self. And finally, we have the mad musician Ibuki Miyoda playing music and incapacitating the soldiers with the noise. However, one of the members of the task force had earphones as well as a sniper rifle, and just as he's about to fire, Mahiru Koizumi comes in to save the day and snap a pic of him, blinding him with the flash and taking his earphones off so he too becomes incapacitated. We then switch to what I feel is one of the most disappointing parts of this episode. We see Hajime walking up to the building that Ryota's in, and many soldiers and many members of the task force are in his way, and his eyes are glowing, and he's just like, get out of my way. And we switch to Ryota and just hear an explosion. We don't get to see Hajime fight, we just hear an explosion. That's really disappointing to me, and not the only thing that's disappointing in this episode actually, and unfortunately. But then we see Hajime walk into the room and he's just like, yo, Miturai. As we cut to a commercial break, we come back from the break and we see Ryota saying he's going to protect that hope from who he thinks is Izuru, going to destroy it, and that he's done with pain and suffering and wants no more war. Hajime obviously calls that boring and says that hope cannot be gained without experience pain and sorrow when losing someone you love. Ryota says that he couldn't understand because he's strong and everyone's weak. But then, out of nowhere, the entire 77th class walk in behind Hajime to confront Ryota. Hajime then says he's not strong at all either, and asks Ryota if he has any regrets, which he says he does, and says that because of him, Junko was able to make the Despair video, and many people died because of that, and that it's his fault. We see Naegi running up to the building, but here comes disappointment number 2. Unlike the logo suggests, Hajime and Naegi do not team up like that to stop Ryota, as he just stands outside and listens. He doesn't do anything to help. He just stands there and does nothing and lets Hajime do all the work, which I feel is very disappointing. Hajime says that if Ryota wants to think like that, he can, and that Ryota wants to wipe the world clean of despair and think like none of the events in Danganronpa ever happened. Ryota replies saying that because of him and Junko, the 77th class was coloured with despair. Hajime says that that is history that they'd want to erase, but to do that, they would have to forget someone very, very special to them, and they don't want to forget that person. That's someone who made them coming back to normal possible. They don't want to forget Chiaki for what she did for them. Nidai and Gundam say they want to atone for what's happened. Ryota says that they can't after what they did. Sonia says that they don't want forgiveness. Kazuichi agrees. Ryota says he doesn't know what to do. And we get what I feel is one of the most emotional and powerful parts of the episode. We hear the ultimate imposter say that he made a mistake, and we see him, and he looks exactly like how he did in Despair arc when impersonating Ryota, which I feel is very, very powerful, as he says that they all made mistakes. Ryota says they're wrong, they're nothing like him, and that he's always been alone, and we see the sky finally begin to clear up from that redness, as Hajime says, then come with us, and that, from now on, they'll be with Ryota. All of the class start to agree with Hajime, like even Terror says he basically has a boner over what's going on right now, which is okay. I mean, he's just like that, I guess, but Ryota says he doesn't deserve to, but Hajime says that his worth has nothing to do with becoming a classmate, and Kazuichi even roasts Hajime, saying that even he doesn't really belong in the class because he was a reserve corps student. Then we see everyone smiling, and Hajime says, "Let's go, Mitarai," as Ryota looks down, and it's just so amazing. He begins to start crying as 5 seconds remain on the countdown as it stops, and Ryota ends it as he drops to his knees and all of his classmates approach him, and even the ultimate imposter kneels down to him, and Ryota just hugs him and starts bawling and crying his eyes out, which I thought was absolutely incredible. Even in Despair arc, both of them were like brothers to each other. The camera pans out to show Naegi just sitting there, smiling as he listens to it as he walks away and looks into the sky as the 77th class start passing by him, as we finally get that one interaction of Hajime and Naegi in the entire episode, as they both see each other passing by and nod at each other, acknowledging both of their existence and basically indirectly thanking them for everything that's happened. Mikan then walks up to Naegi and tries to ask him something, but then Nagito comes out of nowhere and starts going on about how amazing Naegi's luck is and that it's even greater than his own. Then Akane and Nidai pick him up and walk away. That's just absolutely hilarious. We then switch to a small tent where Naegi meets back up with Hagakure, Asahina and Byakuya, as Byakuya shows them a video of the 77th class and they all look like they're in despair, as they ask if they enjoyed the killing game they set up for the Future Foundation and that they will once again dye the world with despair. So does that mean that Izuru is the one who was the mastermind behind it all? Of course not, because the reason why they made that video is because the 77th class wanted to take the blame away from the Future Foundation and put it on the shoulders of the former Remnants of Despair. Byakuya says that it was because of Naegi that any of this happened, and that his hope started this resurrection of the 77th class, and that they did pay quite a high price for what happened. We then switch to the boat they came here on, and they're all eating and having a good time, and the ultimate imposter asks if Ryota hasn't been eating more, so Ibuki stuffs his mouth with food and it's quite good, and we get another very, very powerful scene from this anime. We see Hajime laughing and smiling as he looks off into the distance, and out of nowhere, we see AI Chiaki appear next to him with Usami. She tells him that she was an AI created by their memories to monitor them, but there was no need for that because they all had the same image in their minds, someone they wanted to see again so dearly, and that person was her, Chiaki Nanami. She says that they won this miracle together, and Hajime replies saying that this ending isn't so bad for them, and it isn't so boring. Chiaki says of course it isn't because she fought and risked her life for it. We then hear Nagito from behind asking Hajime to join them, and we see Hajime going in just. We see Chiaki fading away, and it's just so so sad because it makes you remember her so much more. It makes you remember she's gone, she's dead, she can't come back. So does this mean that she's living on inside Hajime's head? We don't know. We then switch to the ending montage as a song called Ever Free by Hide, I don't know how you pronounce it, sorry, starts playing, which is very significant actually because when creating Danganronpa, Kodaka listened to a lot of this Hide's music. We see the boat leaving the Future Foundation building with Asahina and Hagakure thanking them and Naegi standing above them at the top of the pier, and someone asks a question from behind them. Do you really think you're in a position to worry about the others? As Naegi turns to see Munakata with this amazing long trench coat. Munakata says the world needs a hero like him who fought and defeated the Remnants of Despair. Munakata asks if he can carry the burden, and Naegi replies that if they're going to carry the burden of despair, he'll carry the burden of hope. Naegi says he has an idea of what he wants to do, and Munakata begins to walk away as Naegi asks what he's going to do, and Munakata replies saying he has his own burden to bear, as we see that iconic scene of Munakata, Sakakura and Chisa in front of Hope's Peak for the very last time. We then get a speech from Naegi which almost sounds like Kodaka smashed both Naegi and Hajime's end speeches from Danganronpa 1 and 2 together for this. His speech is, "No one has seen the future, we're always headed toward a grey, cloudy sky where hope and despair are mixed together and it's hard to tell which is which. That's a scary thing, but nothing will change if we just wait around in a future where we'll never know what will happen. We'll take this one step at a time forward, thinking about people we care about, looking at the sky, hoping that tomorrow is going to be a better day." As we see Ryota drop his phone into the water, and we switch to see Naegi look at his hand, and he still has that damn blood smear from Kirigiri on it. We switch back to the boat, and we see Mikan holding a bottle in her hand that says antagonist on it, and I think you guys know where this is going. Mahiru asks what that is, and Mikan replies saying that it's a medicine that slows down the spread of the poison from the wristband. Nagito takes the bottle and says that this is Kimura's medicine and that it's amazing that even in the midst of the killing game, she was able to make a drug that would lead to hope. Then here's the kicker. Mahiru asks, then if you took that, it would be okay if you tripped your forbidden action. Mikan replies saying, you'd go into a near-death state, so when I found the person who used it, I revived them. As we switch to see a very familiar pair of boots appear behind Naegi as Naegi turns around, and we go into a time skip a few months into the future, and we see a lot of white flowers obviously representing hope in front of Hope's Peak Academy, and we see lots of the Future Foundation men trying to get inside the school, as well as Hagakure using a new crystal ball with Byakuya standing next to him. We then see Asahina in her Danganronpa 1 outfit surprisingly, and finally the return of Toko with her moving supplies around, and we also see Komaru return as well, giving them both water. We switch to see Naegi sitting in a classroom with a very different outfit. He's wearing a shirt and a waistcoat as Naegi hears someone behind him, and the camera pans up, and that is right everyone, Kyoko Kirigiri is alive again. She has returned to us and she's wearing a burgundy-ish jacket as she finally says, everyone's waiting for you, headmaster, as Naegi replies saying, right, I'm coming, as the episode ends there, and collectively, Danganronpa, the Hope's Peak Academy arc, finally, truly, comes to its gratifying and emotional conclusion. But now, it's time for my overall thoughts of this conclusion to Danganronpa, the Hope's Peak Academy arc, and Danganronpa 3, the end of Kibo Gamane Gakuen. Now usually for my overall thoughts, I have some sort of layout laid out so that I can talk about things like, bang, 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 just get them all out. But I'm going to have a bit more of a unscripted thoughts for this episode, because I'm not really going to try do a lot of overall thoughts, because soon, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I will have a complete collective Danganronpa 3, the end of Kibo Gamane Gakuen review coming out, so I'll be reviewing both Mirai Hen and Zetsubo Hen, as well as Kibo Hen, all in the one video, so hopefully I'll get that out and you guys can look forward to it. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about with this episode, mainly things that disappointed me, unfortunately. So first I'm actually going to get the good things out of the way. The bringing back of the 77th class. I am very happy that the 77th class have been brought back. Obviously, people are going to be like, you know, how can they bring them back from such a near-death state? Well, think about it. Hajime is now the ultimate mechanic, ultimate doctor, ultimate nurse, ultimate luckster, ultimate programmer, ultimate hacker. He has all the talents to be able to bring people back like that. So, I mean, honestly, it's not a surprise that he has brought them back. I mean, it was a surprise at the time. I was like, oh god, everyone's coming back. Like, whoa! But, I mean, it was kind of obvious that they were going to come back. I don't think they would bring just the 5 that survived, being Hajime, Kazuichi, Sonia, Akane, and Fuyuhiko back. But that's absolutely amazing. I'm glad they did a lot of fan service for that. I very much liked seeing the 77th class. But now, the disappointments. First of all, like I did mention, Hajime and Naegi not interacting at all really. That really annoyed me. I wanted to see them interacting after everything that happened in the ending of Super Danganronpa 2. All of the loose ends not being tied up. Things like, what's the true fate of Makoto Naegi and Kamaru Naegi's parents? We did see that they had allegedly hung themselves or been hung in Ultra Despair Girls, but we don't know if that's real or fake still. Also, why was there always that one extra member in the Future Foundation killing game? Remember, there was always one extra member. Maybe it was because someone was going to be alive all along, because it was Kirigiri. She was always alive, which would mean that the 6 survivors remaining would make sense, because there would be Naegi, Munakata, Asahina, Ryota, and Kirigiri. That would make sense, but there was always that one extra member. I don't know why, but that's another loose end. And there's just so many others that I could make an entire video in itself for. But, you know, as a standalone thing, this episode was very good and it was a very good conclusion. But collectively, this wasn't good enough to end the Hope's Peak Academy arc. There's too many loose ends not tied. But I would like to say it's nice to see that Naegi has become the headmaster of Hope's Peak Academy. That's very nice to see. I think that's a very fitting end for Naegi. And I guess Kirigiri is going to become like the vice headmaster of Hope's Peak Academy. And Byakuya is going to become the head or the leader of the Future Foundation. But nevertheless, if you guys like this video, please leave a like and a comment in the comment section below. Share this amongst your friends. I apologise that this video has been very long. It's the longest video I've ever done on the channel. I've been Azrace, and thank you for coming to the video.
It is I, Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans, and you're watching Azura Ace. Subscribe for more content like this one.